it's not always clear where you are as a business, where you're at on that data journey. We have some businesses that will even say we're a no data business, and obviously what they mean is that they're not really sure, are they capturing the right data. We get businesses more in the middle where they're collecting the data, but they're not always integrating it and really getting the value from it. And then you've got the really rich data businesses where there's almost too much data, and they're having to find smart ways to sift through it to gain that insight. So often as a business, it's where am I at on that journey, and what then are the next steps to follow. I think it's about often starting small. It's about looking at low-cost solutions. It's about kind of identifying those key areas where you can focus, and building a roadmap. Really utilizing, for example, there's some good diagnostics out there like the Edge Digital one, so that you can really get people to help you to understand, well, what could my digital factory look like? What are the components of it? And where are my gaps? Where could I exploit an opportunity that will enable me to kind of maybe get a competitive edge, but as a minimum to improve my productivity.
Welcome to Made to Grow, the podcast custom built for SME manufacturers, brought to you by Flowlens MRP software. In this episode, we'll be taking a big picture view of the subject that forms part of our core mission: digital transformation for SME manufacturers. My guest on this episode is Simon Coward, Director of the Smart Manufacturing Data Hub, or SMDH for short, a project under the Made Smarter UK umbrella that aims to increase access to digital tools and establish and share a real-world productivity benchmark for SME manufacturers. We'll take a look at the current state of manufacturing efficiency in the UK, the hurdles facing firms who have yet to embrace a digital future, and the benefits of benchmarking your business against relevant competitors. We'll also look at some specific examples of firms that have accelerated their growth by realising the value of their own manufacturing data. At Flowlens, we've been involved with SMDH projects for over a year and have now been announced as a digital innovation fund Lighthouse Project. If you're curious as to what that means and how it might directly benefit your manufacturing firm, stay tuned. So welcome Simon Coward to the Made to Grow podcast. Simon, you're Director of the Smart Manufacturing Data Hub, and it's brilliant to have you on board. Obviously, we've recently been awarded the Lighthouse status, and we're excited to be getting cracking on that project, which we'll talk a wee bit more about in a second. But could you share a wee bit more about yourself and about the Smart Manufacturing Data Hub for our listeners?
Sure. Thanks, Rich. So the Smart Manufacturing Data Hub, it's really about helping SME manufacturers, so the small to medium-sized businesses, to realize the value of their data, to understand how to capture the right data, get it analyzed, and gain insight from it, whether that's visualization or graphs or however is most appropriate, and then being able to use that data in really wise and decision-making processes, so that they can address their manufacturing challenges. My background is in running manufacturing businesses, particularly small businesses, and I'm really aware of those challenges that businesses have today, right now, of how do you ensure that you're tracking your orders, that you are able to keep tracking and improving your performance of your machines, and where are those costs going, whether it's related to energy, utilities, and so on. And so it's really the whole data hub is about helping an SME realize the value of their data.
Brilliant, and I mean that's obviously right in our wheelhouse. So we're delighted to be involved, because so many SMEs struggle to get time to lift their head above the parapet, to even look at their own systems. So having that facility and having that team that SMDH offers to help really educate and get the most out of their data is fantastic. One of the things that we're focused on with the Lighthouse Project, and so it's something that doesn't come up a lot, but it's a brilliant concept. It's benchmarking. So looking at benchmarking and seeing where does my company fit in the overall scheme of things? How well do we perform?
Yeah.
So can you elaborate on that and what why the benchmarking piece is so important to that mission of UK productivity?
Yeah, sure. I think that I know from my experience of running manufacturing sites that it can be a lonely place.
Yeah.
And I think the ability to be able to share learning and data and insight so that you can ask yourself the question, is my operation, is my factory running as best as it can? How do I compare to others in my location, in my sector, in my industry? Maybe I'm part of a supply chain. So, how do I compare? Um, and that ability to be able to benchmark against other associated businesses, maybe businesses within your supply chain. And as I say, within your sector and your industry, it's invaluable for knowing where are my gaps, where could I do
Mm-hmm.
better, and just by able to do that benchmark, I'm able to see the gap and then start to ask the question, well, how can I close that gap? What can I do better? Where can I improve? So it also gives a real focus, and in through that benchmarking activity.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also it goes right down to the equipment, the machines that you're running. So again, if you're not a part of a larger operation, am I running my machines and equipment to the best I can? And if I can benchmark working with a machine supplier, manufacturer, then these are all different ways of being able to benchmark, find the gap, and then see how to close it.
Yeah, I mean, today so many challenges coming at particularly the SMEs. The skills gap, the inability to hire enough people, and struggling to keep people on board, and then on the data side of things, a lot of companies might be data rich but insight poor as well. But certainly
Yes.
having that mindset of improvement and uh, not taking obstacles for granted, or being able to overcome obstacles using data. We have so many examples of our customers who have moved from kind of a spreadsheet world where they might have the information, but it's almost impossible to process it. To being able
Yeah.
to look at it internally and prioritize those improvements. So whether it's around stock, productivity in the shop floor, machines, supply chain. If you don't have the data in a structured and reliably clean format, you can't do anything with it. But actually, then the benchmarking piece takes it to another level. And because this is sort of an anonymized benchmarking study, it takes the risk out of it for the SME, which is another thing I like, because we deal with a lot of high tech companies, and they might be small, but they're innovative, and they're very sort of commercially sensitive in terms of their data. So being able to have that ability to benchmark, figure out where you sit, and then have another dimension on the potential improvements is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just to kind of add to that is it's not always clear where you are as a business, where you're at on that data journey. I mean, we have some businesses that will even say we're a no data business, and obviously what they mean is that they're not really sure, are they capturing the right data? We get businesses more in the middle where they're collecting the data, but they're not always integrating it and really getting the value from it. And then you've got the really rich data businesses where there's almost too much data, and they're having to find smart ways to sift through it to gain that insight. So often as a business, it's where am I at on that journey,
Mm-hmm.
and what then are the next steps to follow?
Mm-hmm. I mean, so far, with Smart Manufacturing Data Hub, you've got different projects working around the UK for the last year, 18 months or so. Are there some examples of that, the journey that you've been able to take people on?
Yeah, there's some good case studies building. I mean, particularly looking at a business such as Exotech. So they were really asking the question of how do we monitor, how do we measure the energy usage of our CNC machines? And so we were able to come in there and install energy sensors, just a small number to get them started to be able to measure the power consumption of those CNC machines and start to move from paper-based solutions into sensor digital solutions and start to gain that insight of not just how much energy is being used by the CNC machine, but the utilization of that machine. How long is it idle for? What was the time between the tool changes? So they start to build an ever richer understanding of their machines just from starting with energy sensors. Looking to another business like Northwest Medical, it was more about understanding downtime. Again, machine uptime is critical. And so, why is that machine down? And so, being able to monitor that downtime and to digitalize that allows them to gain the insight to understand these are the reasons why it was down. Let's get to the root of those issues so that we can just constantly keep looking to improve uptime and keep those machines running. Um, Spectrum is another company, a different challenge, which was around environmental monitoring. And so we were able to install some sensors there and within their welding bays and start to look at air quality and look at how and when they were operating their welding machines and so on. And so all of them different challenges for different businesses, often using sensors to get that digital insight, and then through our analytics team being able to analyze the data and give them really insightful feedback so that they can start then to better utilize their machines, the way they operate, and the behavior of their workforce.
I think the where we're following on from that then, which is interesting. So a lot of the case studies there you mentioned are around the machine level or the sensor piece, which I mean there are huge opportunities for people to create better working environments, as you mentioned there, but also then basically save money. Machines aren't running when they shouldn't be, and looking to optimize them when they should be, and figuring out the downtime. Um, where we're going to pick up from that with a lot of the companies we deal with, they don't have visibility of the order to cash cycle.
Right.
um, and within that you've got key element of supplier performance. But if you're not feeding the suppliers the right information at the right time, they can't perform. um,
Yes.
so this is what we're going to be looking to do with the customers that sign up to the Flowlens Lighthouse project, to understand, okay, how can we help you purchase more efficiently, purchase right, at the right time, avoid shortages, avoid things that hold up orders, which can, obviously not only sabotage the customer relationship, but that cash flow dependency, on getting paid on time. And then diving into the supplier piece, we have examples of customers after even a few months of using Flowlens where they've been able to see where the suppliers that are consistently late or have consistent quality issues, and either just decide to cull those out completely, or put in an improvement plan. Where previously that was all opaque, and there weren't no data, but the data was, again, it was in spreadsheets or buried in their
Yeah.
account system, and they couldn't do anything with it. Or another example of DD Scientific, who are a customer down in the south of England, who make sensors for different sort of gas detection uh, applications. They've done all sorts of brilliant data led improvements. The most recent one that they told me about was just on their actual supplier, or sorry, delivery performance. looking at the 5-10% of orders that they don't meet their deadline on or their promise date on, and then being able to go through each of those, look at the root cause, and work back through
Yeah.
the data to kind of address the root cause. So it's really empowering, and I think, and we'll come on to this in terms of the team. You mentioned the analysts and whatnot, but actually having experienced people to know what to do with the data is the next challenge. Getting it is one thing, having the time and the knowledge to leverage it is the next thing. So tell us a bit more about the kind of supports that the team provide on that front.
Yeah, so there's a team that comes from a number of partners that operate across the UK. So we have data scientists and analysts and architects. Their role is really, as you've said, Rich, to receive the data, to ensure that it's good structured data that they can then start to analyze and provide insight into. So that service is free of charge. There's also a business development team that can work with you on your journey, kind of starting often with undertaking a diagnostic, a digital readiness tool, so that you can see where you're at on that journey. You can identify some of the gaps and then start to exploit some of the other opportunities within the Smart Manufacturing Data Hub. So they include the Academy. So this is an online learning experience platform. So you and your workforce can get access to free training courses that you can then do the training in your own time, at your own pace, all free of charge.
What kind of courses are on there?
So the kind of courses include, some of them are very data focused, so giving you an introduction into data science and data analytics. Other courses are opening you up to more around industrial digital technologies, maybe what is a digital twin, what is rapid prototyping, how would I use virtual reality, augmented reality. Other courses are quite foundational in terms of just understanding the basics of manufacturing, and they might include lean principles, and then digital transformation courses. So
Cool.
how do I take my business on that journey? So it really covers data, digital manufacturing technologies to give you that starting point, and then some of the courses become quite advanced. But it just kind of gives you different journeys and pathways to go on to build your understanding and the understanding of your workforce. As well as that, we've got the community. So this is where you can join and really, in your own time and space, ask questions, find solutions. But also, if you're a solution provider, actually provide solutions, provide that insight, provide those use cases. And then we have the virtual manufacturing platform. So this is where you really can go in and build a digital twin, start to exploit and explore what is virtual manufacturing, what are the components. So there's areas to go and explore, areas to learn, and areas where you can get connected, and to kind of find like-minded people who are on the same journey towards how do I solve my challenges and exploit digital manufacturing and ultimately kind of transform into a digital factory.
Mm-hmm. And it's pan UK as well, which is fantastic. So the team covers every square mile of the country. You've got business development people across Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and obviously England as well. So everyone can access SMDH.
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. And building on that place-based team, we also work with local partners, local sector networks, and then everything's accessible online. So it doesn't really matter where you're at in the UK. We can connect with you, whether it's through an online meeting, a one-to-one meeting, a workshop, a webinar. So yeah, that support is there for everybody.
Mm-hmm. The Made to Grow podcast is brought to you by Flowlens, the simple, affordable MRP system specifically designed for SME device, equipment and machinery manufacturers. Our top-rated cloud-based software can help you cut down on wasted materials, time and money, and eliminate the chaos of running your manufacturing with spreadsheets and hope. Our customers have reported savings of over a day per week per person in their business by cutting out needless admin, duplication of work and countless mistakes. Plus, lead times are shortened by up to 75%. And after hundreds of successful implementations, we've got the blueprint for manufacturing success nailed down. Head over to flowlens.com for a quick video tour of the software and to hear from more manufacturers like you who have transformed their businesses with Flowlens. Now, back to the interview. I love the idea of the digital readiness tool, and it harks back to a conversation I had in the previous series of the Made to Grow podcast with Stephen Barr from Edge Digital, the sort of inventor of the DRL.
That's right.
So there isn't anything he doesn't know about figuring out where somebody is at, and we find that a lot of people aspire to want to change, but those diagnostics are a really good way to take a dispassionate look at the business and figure out where am I on this journey, and it could be as far back as the no data piece, because you can get data, or sorry, you can get digital transformation wrong. You can put too much pressure on the organization without bringing people along on the journey, and sometimes there are quick wins, such as those machine monitoring kind of projects are a really good way to get buy-in, because maybe people don't understand or trust the technology, and once they see the simplicity of it and the results that it can give, there's something there that can sort of be the germ or the seed of change. There's
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's about often starting small. It's about looking at low cost solutions.
Mm-hmm.
It's about kind of identifying those key areas where you can focus, and building a like a roadmap. Really utilizing, for example, there's some good diagnostics out there like the Edge Digital one, so that you can really get people to help you to understand, well, what could my digital factory look like? What are the components of it? And where are my gaps? Where could I exploit an opportunity that will enable me to kind of maybe get a competitive edge, but as a minimum to improve my productivity?
Yeah. One of the other things that were developed recently were the rapid demonstrators. Are those still in kind of train, or have you got some initial ones launched?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Digital Innovation Fund is another aspect to the Smart Manufacturing Data Hub. So we're funding Lighthouse projects. So these are large projects, sometimes nationwide. In a sense, obviously, Flowlens is one of our Lighthouse winners. We have launched the Lighthouse program yesterday, the third call. There are also rapid demonstrators. So in a way, it's the other end of the scale. So rather than working with lots of SMEs, maybe you're an SME, and how can I get funding to help me digitalize a part of my business, so you can apply for rapid demonstrator funding. We've just finished one call and there'll be more calls to follow. So if you watch the SMDH website, you get the newsletter, get connected, then we'll keep you informed of those rapid demonstrator projects. But it's an opportunity to get some funding in order to install a digital solution that then connects to our manufacturing data exchange platform. And it's helping you improve in a part of your business, in order to be able to then get that transparency, utilize the power of the data to gain that insight so that you can make better decisions.
It's a great opportunity to de-risk that, but also be part of the community. Because I mean, obviously, there's things like Made Smarter, which offers some help for people that are doing digital transformation and whatnot. But the power of SMDH is partly in the community aspect of it and being part of the network.
Absolutely. The Smart Manufacturing Data Hub has a sister innovation hub called the Digital Supply Chain Hub. Um, Both hubs are funded by Innovate UK's Made Smarter Innovation Challenge, and that challenge is funding a wider range of activities, really all focused on helping build digital manufacturing ecosystems around the UK where SMEs can be within those ecosystems, getting the support they need, getting the funding, getting the insight.
Mm-hmm. It's great as well to have the support element to it, the professional support, because so much about technology and change is daunting, but having that, the business development team and the other supports there, and with the likes of the Lighthouse projects, which I'll explain a bit more in a minute. There's a support aspect to the implementation and the rollout of technology, because um, you know you can self-serve a mobile phone or a CRM tool, or it's easy to sign up for an Instagram account, but some of these technologies that are more fundamental business management kind of systems, um,
Yeah,
you don't sort of just sign up on a Saturday night and and get stuck in. Particularly if you're even an organization of 5 to 10 people. You need to get
yeah,
people's buy-in, and you need to have that backup to get it done right. So so yeah, it's a fantastic construct that you've created here, because I think that's where the opportunity in UK wide is to embrace that knowledge gap that there exists in change, and not every business wants to come along on the journey. I've forgotten the exact numbers, but on again one of our previous guests, Brenton McGurgan, from Simple Scaling, talks about the millions of SMEs that are out there, and only 2% of them ever hit scaling. And it's not necessarily through lack of ambition. Um, it's just having the right ingredients in place, and for manufacturers, and I would say this anyway, but having a strong business system as the platform takes so much of the chaos
yes,
out. It takes so much of the
yes,
duplication of effort, and wondering where things are, and just gets out of the way of your scaling journey. Um, so maybe it's probably worth me just summarizing our project,
yeah,
because we applied to the Lighthouse project, and we were delighted to be chosen as one of the successful companies in phase one. We're looking to recruit 10 businesses to the Lighthouse project. Um, we focus on SMEs, which is tech for SMDH. We focus on relatively high tech, but small manufacturers of electrical devices, electromechanical equipment, machinery. So we've anything from the sensors that I mentioned a minute ago to sensing and detection equipment, scientific equipment, um, even farm machinery, and industrial pumps, and all sorts of relatively complex bills of materials. In some cases, complex builds, and where we're going with Flowlens is to help those companies be in control of that ability to deliver on their promises. Um, so our mission, as I touched on earlier on, is to recruit companies and be able to benchmark their performance for the duration of the project over the next sort of 9 months or so, uh, to see how they perform against their peers in terms of that order to cash, and on time delivery metric, how their suppliers perform, and the knock on effect of that, and then also potentially, because we've got lots of data around the kind of consumption of parts and components and materials, how well optimized purchasing is, and basically how much cash can you keep in the bank versus having
Yeah,
it sitting on
yeah.
a shelf. And then also looking at the production piece. So um, step by step in the assembly process, are we on time? Are we ahead of time? Is our yield good? Those sorts of metrics as well will be coming out of the project as we mature with the customers. So that's the call, is that to small equipment and machinery manufacturers that are interested in getting involved. Obviously, the project helps us subsidize the cost of that as well, which is great. And but you're part of that group, you're part of that cohort in terms of the benchmarking. But we're also creating like a peer group within the cohort to help with learning and sort of dissemination of ideas and improvements within our group as well. So we're excited to be taking that forward. So yes.
And in a way to build on that, Rich, is from that lighthouse and the other lighthouses is then to tease out those benchmark standards and that manufacturing intelligence that we can share in a wider
Mm-hmm.
context to all of to more and more of the SMEs, and really reach those that have not been reached so far, such that we're able to support them, as you say, on their journey towards kind of getting that transparency of data, and utilizing platforms like yours in order to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it feels like whenever you win a competition like this, you've made it, but it's just the start. You're right,
Yes.
so that this time next year we'll be looking at data, and obviously you'll be looking at data from across all the different projects. So it will be interesting to see how that then takes shape as something that can inspire change in the wider industrial population. So um, usually what I ask our podcast guests to share is, one main thought to take away, or what's the one sort of inspirational takeaway that you would leave SME manufacturers with as they're considering their data journey.
I think there's a couple of things for me. It's it's thinking about what's critical to your business. Is it a piece of equipment? Is it tracking orders? Is it the performance of a production line or energy usage? Um, or trying to remove those paper-based systems. So what's critical to your business? And key for me is identifying digital champions in your business that can take those key challenges forward, um, and finding suppliers, partners that you can learn from, engage with to find solutions to those key challenges. So for me, I pick on a few areas, assign digital champions, and then build kind of a support network around you. Do undertake those digital readiness diagnostics. Find case studies, use cases, examples that you think if they can do it, I can do it. And work with your suppliers. They often have solutions that you might not be aware of. So work with the wider your wider ecosystem to get hold of that support.
Brilliant. I love the point about suppliers, because a lot of us distrust technology suppliers. We maybe had our fingers burnt in the past, and not every supplier is as scrupulous as we certainly are. What we try to do is avoid companies that we can't help, and that's one of the first things we'll do, is signpost businesses elsewhere if we think a different solution will help them. But it doesn't do any harm to talk. And there's a lot of
Yeah,
knowledge, as you say. People like us, we're in and out of manufacturers all the time, and we've a broad understanding of the market and where companies are at the different levels they're at, and we can ask the right questions um, to be able to help people who want to take that step figure out what
Yeah.
is the right first step. I mean,
Brilliant.
you hit the nail on the head. The first one is do that digital readiness piece, and then appoint someone who is going to take the lead on it, because often the owner, leader, directors of the business won't have the time and maybe aren't the right people, and to have that sort of grassroots ability to impact change, but they have to lead from the front and inspire it.
Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. Thanks very much. So you mentioned the business development network and the people around the UK. How what's the easiest way for an SME listening to this to get engaged and start benefiting from these supports?
Yes, so the if you go to the smdh.uk website and register your interest, make an inquiry, then your inquiry will be sent to the business development member of staff that's local to where you are, and they'll get in touch with you. You can always find me on LinkedIn and through my email address. So the whole team is kind of waiting to hear from SMEs. But go through the website, you'll be assigned a business development officer, and then they'll engage you and try and help you on your journey, understanding where you're at and how best to engage and support you.
Perfect. Simple as that. Brilliant. Well, Simon, just thanks very much again for joining us, and we really are excited to be part of the project and appreciate your time today. We'll put all the links, or the link there to your smdh.uk and your LinkedIn in the show notes, and we'll be sharing this obviously on our social media and whatnot as well. So looking forward to hearing from those SMEs who want to get in touch with our project, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks, Rich.
Not at all. Thanks, Simon.
My thanks again to Simon for joining me on this episode. Much has been made of the importance of data to the future of manufacturing, but what that actually means, especially for small businesses, has been a little more vague. SMDH is therefore a timely and important project and will play a key role in democratising big data and enabling valuable insights for manufacturers. Digital tools generate a lot of data, but they need the accompanying insight to truly transform your business. If you'd like to know more about our Lighthouse project, and if your firm qualifies for the Digital Transformation Subsidy, head to flowlens.com/smdh for more information. In next month's episode, I'll be joined by Nathan Peel, co-founder and engineering director of Denatech, an ISO 9001 accredited engineering firm from Lancashire, which makes, installs and maintains highly specialist equipment used in extreme and industrial environments. In the first of several manufacturer growth stories that we'll be covering this season, we'll be talking about how Nathan and his team scaled Denatech from 0 to 3 million turnover in 3 years through a relentless focus on quality, diversified revenue streams and a very valuable ISO accreditation. In the meantime, if you found this episode useful, please subscribe and consider adding a review on your podcast platform of choice. Until next time.